Hey, have you ever noticed how strangely placed NPC settlements and raider outposts are placed in the Commonwealth of Fallout 4? Like, why choose to settle around a city block in Boston out of all the other ones which clearly show better vantage points, protection points, and, offer actual water for the people in the settlement itself? Or why is this group of settlers right here choosing to settle in a spot where it's hard to get help if they need it, it's hard to grow crops, and they're out in the open for an attack? Well, I wondered the exact same thing. So in this video, we are going to be taking a very quick look at NPC placement in Fallout 4, and I'm going to be telling you why across the whole of the Commonwealth and Boston, the layout really just doesn't make sense for why people, raider groups, and even small cities would choose to settle there when they could settle in much better spots and in real life probably would. Before I get into this video, I'm going to ask that you will like and subscribe with the bell on. These are two little quick videos coming out. I say two, the other one's not going to be out yet when you're seeing this, but hopefully another one will be out very soon. I'm going to France for a week, so that's why I'm doing these two little quick videos so that you have things to watch whilst I'm away. Thank you guys ever so much for the support, and don't forget to comment down below what you thought of the video. In Fallout 4, there are three main large settlements, with two of them making mostly a lot of sense and the other two making very little sense. To start with, I'll talk about Diamond City, because this one, at least in my opinion, makes sense. And this settlement to me is the only one that makes 100% sense to why people would choose to settle here and live here. It's protected well, there's a lot of room to build and expand, it even has a purified water source, which is just great. The only thing that doesn't make sense and does confuse me is the fact that the city must have had settlers for a long time. Why they have come so little and so long makes little sense to me. You mean to tell me they've been living here now 200 years after the bombs have dropped and the initial explosion of the fallout, but yet they haven't expanded whatsoever outside the walls and are still relying on tin huts and metal huts to build houses? You know there's concrete and brick right outside, right? You could go grab some of that and build some actual houses. They also have very primitive electricity and no form of heating or proper toiletry areas, which is very ironic to me considering that they've been around for so long. You would have thought, their living standards would be a lot better. And the overall filth in Diamond City is still to quite a high level. Now, the second settlement that I think makes a lot of sense is Covenant, which I do think, to be fair, is quite a well-working settlement. It's a walled-off community of people, which works well. Only strange thing about Covenant is it's literally in the middle of nowhere, which is a bit strange why people would choose to just settle there and start building and I suppose live there, but I guess it's the original townsfolk that have just kind of stayed there. And then the last two is, first of all, Bunker Hill, which looks like it would make a lot of sense to me. There's a lot of space, open places to build, a large wall protecting you from other people, but yet they seem to have this mysterious raider group that keeps giving them problems and trouble. And at no point have they tried to invest in defenses or just, shooting back at the raiders. This is quite a big settlement with strong walls and potential for good defenses and a good relationship with other factions like the Minutemen. But they've not tried to call the Minutemen, they've not tried to defend by building defenses, and they've not even tried just shooting back at raiders. Not to mention, we don't actually know what raider group this is that seems to be, taking advantage of Bunker Hill, which is really strange to me. Finally, we have the second largest town in Fallout 4, Goodneighbor, which to me makes little to no sense why anyone would choose to settle here. It's a random back dingy alleyway made up of a couple of buildings. Why on earth, out of all the different random dingy back alleyways, would you choose this one for people to stay in and build a settlement on? Once again, it still suffers from the same problem that Diamond City does. There's nowhere for people to sleep, it's a filthy shithole, and there's not even any education here. It's not got a school, a hospital, nothing like that. And in fact, who would actually want to live at this place even now? It's completely crime-ridden. I mean, the first thing you see when you walk in is someone gets stabbed.
Let me tell you something. Why'd you have to go and say that, huh? Breaking my heart over here.
Do you think Squidward was trying to tell us something?
Yes, I was! You call yourselves good neighbors? You're the worst neighbors ever! You don't deserve to wear those fezzes!
Gee, Pat, maybe President Squidward's right.
Yeah, I guess we aren't good neighbors after all.
Terrible settlement. I'm not even sure it has a water source, or at least one that's been confirmed. So, awful settlement, and terrible idea for anyone to move in there or live. Now I'm going to talk about the placement of settlers and the people who live in them, because some of them make sense to me, like Sanctuary, which is a built-up town with available farmland and water. But there's so many settlements that are just so questionable as to why anyone would want to live there or choose to settle in them. I mean, to start with, there's the lonely settlements, like the ones such as Tempest Buff, which is made up of a man and a woman on their own that sometimes get some traders come in the middle of fucking nowhere with no defenses, being completely open for an attack. And they also normally are attacked by super mutants. I don't know where the super mutants come from, but hey, who knows? They're always attacked. Then a lot of other settlements are just stupid to me. For example, there are so many settlements in the game where the settlement is just sat next to a raider base or camp, which outnumbers them and outguns them 100 settlers to 1. Even if you make the argument that the settlers were there before the raiders showed up and the raiders moved in to take advantage of the settlers' positioning, then wouldn't you just leave? As a settler, you have no actual incline reason to be there. There's no trade there for you. Caravans will come to your next settlement. You don't need to stay there. There's no reason to. You can take your plants and move. Grow crops anywhere else. You can go to any other town. There is no reason to be there. Like this one, for example, which is not only in the middle of nowhere, but is also built right next to both a miler camp and also a raider base. No one in their right mind would settle at these kind of places without being a large force that's capable of defending themselves with weapons. I mean, if this was real life, the most likely thing and most likely scenario that would happen for settlements would be large groups of settlers, 100, maybe 150 farmers, would move into a very empty, desolate area so that if raiders do move in and try to attack them, then they not only outnumber them, but they'd also make sure they're doing training so they also can outgun them in a fight. The default settlements, for the most part, are completely stupid. The last thing I want to talk about is raider groups and factions and where their positions are in the Commonwealth, because the raiders are probably the most strange when it comes to where they take up residence. Most raiders can be found in factories or different kinds of outskirts or outside areas of Boston. This, to be fair, makes sense. And then even the raiders that are in Boston normally are either in buildings that are not being used anymore, or they're taking up spots in large warehouse type places or old shops in the main central Boston area. Now this to me is fine. It makes sense that raider groups would take up uninhabited large factories or large buildings or houses. However, the problem quickly comes when you look at why the raiders are in the location that they are in, because in most cases it makes little to no sense whatsoever why they are doing what they are doing from the positions they are in. For example, most raider groups attack and take from different settlements across the Commonwealth. However, for some reason, in 9 out of 10 cases, the settlement they are taking from will be a settlement literally miles away from them and miles away from their actual base, when they could be taking from a settlement far closer to them, which would take a far less significant amount of resources and supplies to maintain. So while the placement of these bases makes sense for who they are, why they stay in that said base and carry out the operations that they do makes little to no sense, as they are going out of their way to travel to a settlement that they don't need to travel to, because most of the time there's a closer one near them, or in some cases even right next to them. Thank you guys ever so much for watching that video. I really hope you did enjoy it. I apologize, there will not be another video out before I'm back. I come back on the 30th, so there will be content being produced from the 30th onwards. I thank you all so much for the support. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the video and what you think of NPC placement in Fallout, because I think it's very strange in Fallout 4 at least. And thank you guys ever so much for watching. Stay safe guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe guys, and peace.